Alright, so let's see. We got radiators, hatchery chicks, phyllo dough, cross-country skis. You know, I'm looking forward to the chicks. Actually,
I think it means as in baby chickens.
Today on
also that was something I would have expected you to say.
Car radiators. They
Radiators?
cool, automotively speaking.
Well, that's a pun already.
This segment is guaranteed.
Wow, that
to
looks
lay an egg.
inhumane.
Phyllo dough. We visit
But
a
tell me it's not
bakery
fucking
that's
cute.
Wrapping up production.
Wrapping up production.
And cross-country skis. There's no business like snow business.
All right.
God.
All right, pun lady.
When the
Whatever you
gasoline
say.
in a car
Can we
engine
even give her
burns,
that
up to
one?
70% of the energy
Yes, of course.
generated converts
I
into
don't want
heat.
to.
A lot of this heat goes out the exhaust system, but much of it stays, heating up the engine. The car's cooling system prevents overheating. The system's key component is the radiator.
Oh my God, she's gonna say radiator this whole time, isn't she?
A water and antifreeze mix absorbs the heat generated by the engine. The fluid then flows through the radiator's tubes to cool down. The tubes are made from paper-thin brass. Rollers bend the 4-centimeter wide strip into the shape of a flat tube.
Oh please, just put Yusuf and Marco in a room together. They could do this. No
They
sweat.
just roll it up with their
Tubing
hands like it's
then
Play-Doh.
runs through
Yeah.
a vat of bubbling hot molten lead.
So can Yusuf.
As the tube
In fact,
Just
he,
has to
he
spit
doesn't-
on it.
He doesn't even get lead poisoning.
Cold water that hardens the lead coating. A cutter then chops the tubing into pieces, the length of which varies according to the model of radiator. These
Oh,
are about
every time she says
76
radiator, I
centimeters
just
long.
can't handle. I seriously just can't.
Meanwhile,
Never in
another
my life have I
machine
heard
shapes
radiator.
A narrow strip of
I've heard it a few
copper,
times.
just 1.5 millimeters thick, into what are called cooling fins. As we'll see in slow motion, the machine folds the copper strip fan-like, then perforates it, creating mini
There,
ear
are you
vents.
happy how it's made?
When
We
the
stopped
hot
it just
fluid
for
runs
you.
through the tubes, these fins will transfer
You're fucking up our
heat to the
production.
air flowing through
You're
the
fucking up
radiator.
our bank account.
The cooled fluid can then go back.
I'm
for
sorry I
another
had
round
to.
of absorbed
I know, I
engine
was
heat.
expecting you to.
The cooling fins come out of the machine cut to size. Then workers manually stack the tubes and fins, one on top of the other.
See, we could have given them a machine for this, but that was too
They
good for them.
straighten them out. then
This is
apply
also
a
known as the
brass
world's
tag
easiest game of
indicating
Tetris.
the model number and date of production. Then they compress and strap the components together.
Kind of like they're getting nothing but flat pieces the
Elsewhere,
entire
a
game, huh?
computer-guided machine punches out a pattern on brass sheets. These will become what are called headers. There's one on each side of a radiator.
Is there also
The
a footer?
punching tool then changes to a knife, which now cuts along the perforation lines.
That seems like a fun job. Just shake the sheet.
See, Mark, why can't you do that?
Using a press, they bend each header,
That's a really cool machine.
then punch slots for the radiator's tubes.
Watch your fingers.
Yeah, that's one of the machines I'd be really scared of getting my fingers stuck in.
Now, using a mallet, they hammer the headers onto the ends of the tubes. The banging inadvertently closes a few tubes, so they use a special roller to reopen them. After cleaning the surface, it's into an oven at 315 degrees Celsius.
Into
In
an
just
oven
2
or into a
minutes,
kiln?
The lead melts, fusing the tubes and cooling fins. After straightening out any crooked tubes, workers dip the headers in a tank of hot liquid lead for 30 seconds. This solders them to the sides of the radiator. They apply a few drops of lead on the corners for reinforcement. The
Well, why don't you
headers
just
and
dip
tube
the whole
openings
thing?
are now encased
Yeah, really.
in
Why don't you
lead.
just dip the whole bottom?
Workers now feed a sheet of brass into a press to form the tanks that go onto the headers. One contains a brass tube.
I feel like this is one of those
Transmission
things
oil
that no one
enters
would
one
ever
end of
need
it
to
and
know how
exits
it's
the other,
made.
cooling along the way.
It's like one of those things they were just out of options for how it's made.
Once workers
See, the thing is,
finish
this is
welding
just
the
part
tanks
of
to
an
the
engine.
headers,
It's not even the
they
whole
solder
engine.
on what's called the filler neck, a spout for pouring antifreeze into the tank.
Like, I'm not a car guy at all.
On the opposite
Nowhere
tank,
close,
they
so this
weld
doesn't
on
mean
a
anything.
water
Yeah, this would be
intake
better for
pipe.
Bell.
This will be the entry
I didn't
point
know
for
Bell
the
was a car
fluid
guy.
heated by
Well,
the
he
engine.
knows a little bit about cars. From what he's told
Finally,
me.
they coat the finished radiator in an asphalt-based black paint. The asphalt content makes the paint heat
Like, he knows enough
resistant
to be able
and
to, like,
protects
fix
the
some stuff
radiator's
on his
cooling
own.
fins.
Cool.
And change oil and shit.
See, Will, both you and I don't drive, so...
Which
Yeah,
came
yeah.
first, the chicken or the egg?
I mean, I would. I
It's
The
an
egg.
age-old question, and
The
we
egg
can't give
obviously
you the
came
definitive
first.
answer, but we
The
can
egg
take
came
you to a
first.
hatchery to see
There
how
is
baby
totally a
chicks are
definitive
bred.
answer.
It's the first step in commercial chicken farming, or the second step if you think the egg came first. Chicks come from eggs
No.
fertilized by mating, but a hen can lay eggs without
I had no
mating.
idea.
Those unfertilized eggs are the ones we eat. The fertilized ones go to the hatchery 3 or 4 days after being laid.
How do they tell the
Hatchery
difference?
workers transfer the eggs onto
Um,
special
I
trolleys.
think you could
then
tell if he's
roll
trying to
them
light
into
through
the
'em.
incubator, where the temperature and humidity
If
level
what? I didn't
mimic
hear you.
natural
If you shine
conditions.
you shine a light through
The
them,
egg
I
yolk,
think that's one
Oh,
way
okay.
to tell.
white,
Yeah.
and shell all nourish the embryo. Every hour, the trays shift 45 degrees to the opposite side and back, simulating
this is
how
like-
hens turn their eggs while waiting for them to hatch.
So this is like the egg form
After
of a baby
18
roller
and a half
coaster.
days, the eggs come out of incubation
It
and
seems
go
that way,
onto a
but-
conveyor belt. They pass under an infrared sensor that detects any whose color is too transparent. These are unfertilized eggs that slip through.
Oh, you're right, Will.
The sensor triggers a suction device to remove them. They go to a rendering plant to become
So this is
animal
totally
feed.
like picking up bowling pins.
Yeah.
The fertilized eggs continue along to the next station to be vaccinated against Marek, a poultry disease.
Against.
Automated needles pierce a hole in each shell and inject the vaccine into the amniotic
Well,
fluid
shit. Now you gotta
surrounding the
cover
chick.
that up.
This seems like the most efficient way of vaccination
Now a
ever.
suction device transfers the eggs to hatching trays. 160
Except for that one.
eggs
Fuck that
per
Wait,
one.
what about that egg? Okay. Okay.
About 150 of them can be expected to hatch. The rest died in incubation or have physical defects.
Well, yeah, I can't
Day
imagine that
19,
hole you put in the shell to be
chicks
very
use
healthy.
their beaks to crack a hole through the shell, then a horizontal line all around. After 6 to 8 hours, the chicks finally emerge from the shell.
Oh.
They're covered in short feathers called down, and they're able to walk and see. After about 4 hours, their down has dried. Now workers roll the chicks to what's called the separator,
Oh,
a machine
God.
that separates
Oh, this
the
looks
birds
terrible.
from the shell halves.
God, this is gonna
The
fall in there.
shells are
No.
larger than the chicks, so they stay on top, while the chicks fall down to a conveyor belt below.
They clearly are not having a fun time with this. Look at them.
This looks both adorable and inhumane at the
The
same
shells,
time.
which are
Oh.
high in calcium, go to a rendering plant.
Oh God, what if one of them got their claw stuck on like the bar and they
chicks
got
move
pulled
on
back
to
up
be
like an escalator?
classified according to gender.
So what do? I
Workers
check
put
to
the
see if the
females
chick.
down
Oh my God, they just tossed
Oh my
them in
God!
They determine the sex by checking
Why are you just
the
throwing
plumes of
them?
feathers.
Fuck!
Oh my God.
If one row's shorter than the other, the chick's a female.
That's really
If
specific.
the rows are the same height, it's a male.
Why you throw them? No,
Show some
Shoot,
fucking compassion.
use a
They've only been
separate
alive a
conveyor
couple
belt.
minutes.
they just put them down
Actually, a couple hours, actually.
gently, you bitch.
An optical counter tracks the number of males and females.
Alright, that one actually looks kind of fun. Just because it's one of those, like, big multi-stage slides at a carnival.
The chicks now
They still don't look
fall
like they
into
enjoy- Oh, God.
specially
Okay,
designed
that's way too
transportation
fast.
boxes. 102 chicks
Ow,
per
ow, ow,
box.
ow, ow, stop,
Some
ow.
clients request that their
Shit,
order of
fuck.
chicks be vaccinated against bronchitis. Those boxes pass under an aerosol
Aw.
sprayer that sprinkles them with a mild dose of
The way they all
vaccine.
jiggle when it stops.
Poultry farms raise chicks for either meat or eggs. Females used for egg production begin laying eggs at about 20 weeks of age. For meat production, females reach slaughter weight in about 38 days. Males, depending on market size, take from 40 to 65 days.
Well, that one was just adorable.
It was adorable and hard to watch at the same time. It seemed
If you
just
like
so
Greek
terrible.
food, then you've probably tasted baklava. It's made with
Wait,
a
tasted
deep,
what?
thin, flaky
Baklava.
dough called phyllo, the
Okay.
Greek word for leaf. Phyllo dough itself
For a second there, I thought I was
is
supposed to have
low-fat
tasted
and
the
cholesterol-free.
martial arts of the Israeli
Unfortunately,
Defense
the
Force.
stuff they usually fill it with
Okay.
isn't.
Krav Maga.
Phyllo dough can be made by hand or by machine. Either way, it starts with the same dough recipe. The proportions are roughly 40% water to 60% flour. They use two types
Okay,
of
that
wheat
just
flour.
looked kinda weird.
High protein flour to make the dough strong and flexible, and low protein flour to make
Oh, so
its
this is
texture
strong
smooth.
flour. So this is
They
strong
also
like
add
Yusuf. This is
sorbate, a
flour Yusuf
preservative,
can
to
eat.
increase shelf life. After about 15
God, this just looks like
minutes
the
of
white
mixing,
Play-Doh.
The dough is ready.
No,
They cut off a
it looks more like
section
clay,
and feed
which
it
is
into a
harder than
machine
Play-Doh.
called the divider,
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
transforms it into a cylindrical wad. They
But
hand roll
I
the
bet that
wad
guy's
into a
really
rough
good at
ball,
layups
then
in
feed
basketball.
it 2 or 3 times through a machine that kneads
Don't
the
ever
dough
challenge him to a
into
game of horse.
rounder,
I
harder
wonder
ball
if he
with
ever
no air
misses,
bubbles trapped
and
inside.
everybody laughs at him. Like, come on, man, that's 2
Ready,
inches.
just by
Like,
feeling it.
that's
You fuck
that's
up.
that's
Then
within
a machine
arm's
called
length.
the sheeter flattens the
God
ball
damn it,
into
Peter,
a
you
look
fuck
like
up.
Pizza dough. Workers stack about 30 sheets with craft paper
It looks
in
like they're making
between to
pizza.
absorb some
That's
of
what
the
they just said.
moisture.
It's like
Oh,
pizza dough.
okay.
I wonder if any of them accidentally fuck up and just start making a pizza. They're like, shit.
Now,
Anybody want
Where
one?
the fuck's the sauce?
opening the dough. First, they lay a large cotton cloth over the work surface. It must be 100% cotton to absorb the moisture. Otherwise, the dough would
Dude, this
stick
guy's
together.
mustache is intense.
They take a sheet of dough and begin
All of them
stretching
have
it by
intense
hand
mustaches.
until
Do
it's
they?
approximately 2.5 meters
Yeah.
square.
Where
Even
is
though
this?
the dough is stretched
I don't
thin,
know.
it doesn't tear. This is due partly to its protein content and partly to the skill of the worker.
That protein content. Belle would have loved this.
Why would have Belle loved this?
Oh, because the protein shakes.
They
Oh, Belle's
repeat
into
the
protein
process
shakes?
with all 30
No,
sheets,
it's just for
stacking
like
them
working
one
out.
on top
Get the
of the
protein
other.
he needs.
Then they take a plank of wood, called a sanida in Greek, and roll the dough sheets
Well, maybe it's
onto it
Greece.
one by one, removing the
'Cause
cloths
it's
that were in
Greek.
between.
They might be in Greece, you're right. I don't really know what Greek people look like.
I don't either.
They sprinkle cornstarch on the dough, just enough to prevent sticking. Too much cornstarch will burn the dough.
Well, that still seems like a lot.
Now they move the sanida
I mean, they
to
kinda just
another
eyeball
table
it.
and cut along one side of the dough. They remove the wood and open the sheets flat. Then they cut rectangles measuring
cutting a birthday
33
cake.
by 43 centimeters, standard phyllo size.
What if it just eats it?
Each sheet of phyllo dough is about as thin as a sheet of tissue paper, but it's
Yeah, it looks
He
like-
just starts blowing his
flexible
nose on
enough
one.
not
One of
to
them wipes his
tear
ass
when
with
a
it.
baker works with it. Machine-made phyllo dough
It
is
straight
a
up
much
looks like
faster
tissues.
method, used primarily for mass-produced frozen food items. An automated machine called the stretcher transforms a
The
big
stretcher.
wad of dough into
I feel
a
like that's
thin,
another
flat
nickname for the
sheet,
medieval torture
applying
method of
just
the
right
rack, where it
amount of
stretches out all your
cornstarch.
limbs.
A continuous air current coming from underneath creates an air bubble. The height of the bubble tells them whether the dough is the right consistency. The dough dries
What if some
under
asshole just
infrared
feels like
lamps.
popping the bubble?
This step is necessary
Well,
because
fuck-
this method
fuck that guy.
doesn't
It was
use
probably
craft
Mark.
paper and cotton cloths to absorb the excess moisture. The dried sheet of dough rolls onto a spool. They cut along the side to release the dough and lay it flat. Using a template, they cut the standard size rectangles, yielding 800 sheets of phyllo.
Which they then sell
They
to a
roll
stationery
about
store.
20 sheets together at a time and wrap them in plastic. Then they vacuum pack and heat seal the package.
Boom. I hope it makes a cool noise when he shoves it in there. Not a farting noise.
Phyllo dough stays fresh for 6 weeks in the refrigerator, 6 months in the freezer.
And 6 years in the blast freezer.
Cross-country skis used to look
Well, 'cause the
pretty
blast
much all the
freezer is only
same.
used for flash
Long,
freezing.
narrow, and wooden. Today's skis, however, come in many different styles, specifically designed for the many types of cross-country. Telemark, backcountry, all-terrain, touring, and racing.
Wait, what?
Apparently there's many different types of all-terrain skiing.
Archaeologists
the
in
SSH.
Scandinavia have uncovered
There she
ski
goes.
artifacts 5,000
What
years
is...
old.
What?
These Stone Age skis had enabled people to hunt during the winter. Skiing became so vital a means of transportation that the Vikings worshipped a god and goddess of skiing. 19th century Scandinavian soldiers.
Okay, Vikings didn't
wore
exist
skis
in the
winter
Stone Age.
warfare.
Why do they look like
They
that?
had races in their spare time.
Also, I don't
turning
all think
cross-country
I don't think they all
skiing
had back
into
problems.
A popular sport. From there, it just snowballed.
Why is that the only pretty boy?
Will, did you know that in the Olympics they used to have something called ballet skiing?
One way
No, I
to
didn't
make
know that.
cross-country skis
It's
is compression
hilarious
molding,
and
a
amazing.
process that uses heat and
Okay.
pressure to bond
It's literally
the
just doing
components
tricks
together.
on like flat
First, a
snow. It's really
computer-guided
interesting,
blade
the fact
cuts
that that's
out
a
what will
sport.
become the
So it's kinda like
ski's
skiing
underside,
free
called
running.
the gliding surface.
No,
It's made of
no, it's just
fiberglass
like
laminate
trying to
and
like dance
polyethylene
with your skis and doing
thermoplastic,
like
a
flips with it. It's
friction-resistant
really
material.
weird. I'll have to show it to
They
you.
lay it into the bottom half of a mold, then glue on steel edges for grip. This spray makes the adhesive dry faster so that they can apply the principal adhesive, epoxy. A rubber shock absorber goes on the back, followed by a durable plastic reinforcement called the heel piece protector. The ski's wooden core is made of aspen and birch laminated together. Next comes a sheet of fiberglass impregnated with epoxy for extra reinforcement. The wood core is now sandwiched
Well,
between
how is the
two
fiberglass
high-resistance
impregnated?
layers.
Well, you
Then
see,
for decoration,
when a man and a
plastic
piece
film
of wood
with a
love each other
silkscreen
very
design.
much.
The fiberglass isn't
With
wood.
everything now in the bottom half of the
When a
mold, they can
man and a
clamp on
piece
the
of
top
fiberglass
and
love each
tape
other
it
very
up
much.
to ensure nothing shifts out
Why are
of
you assuming the
place.
fiberglass is female?
Then it's into a
It could be
press
Never
male
said it was
that
impregnation.
female.
compresses the mold and heats it to
Never said it
85
was
degrees
female.
Oh
Celsius.
shit.
This activates the epoxy, hardening it in 12 to 15 minutes, depending on the thickness of the ski. Now they do a rough cut to trim off the excess. Then they sand all
That
the
looks like a
edges
fun job.
until they're smooth.
Man, I'm glad I know how those gloves are made.
Right?
They run just the gliding surface across a grinding stone, that white object you see below. This extra step is only for the higher-end models. Another
that
way
plebe
to make
shit.
cross-country skis is by a process called reaction injection molding.
That sounds
First,
way
they
better.
place the ski's top layer, a fiberglass epoxy sheet, in the mold. Then the gliding surface, made of pre-assembled fiberglass laminate and polyethylene with a high-resistance backing. Instead of a wooden core in the middle, this press injects a super resilient plastic.
Then in the store, when you want the good skis, they tell you
In
to pay an
just
extra
3
$500
seconds,
bucks.
the injection phase
500,
is over,
good God.
and the reaction phase begins.
Oh God, is he?
This
What is that?
demonstration shows what
Well,
happens.
obviously it's diarrhea.
First, the polyurethane
Diarrhea that swells.
inflates.
Oh, so it's alien diarrhea.
Sure.
Then it hardens.
Either that or there's just a lot of yeast in it.
After 8 minutes, it's hardened enough to come out of the mold. They let the ski cure for up to 8 hours, at which point it's strong enough to support the weight of a skier. So now these 3 components, the top layer, the polyurethane middle, and the gliding surface, are one.
They don't even sand it down. They make the person who buys it do that
finishing.
themselves.
First, they trim and bevel the edges. They sand the gliding surface.
For what?
Then
The
they
fourth
carve
time?
a groove down its length.
No, this is the black
gives the
ski.
ski directional stability. All that's left to do now is decorate the skis. First, the background color in a quick-drying, solvent-based lacquer. They apply the design manually, one color at a time using the silk screening process. A typical design consists of 5 to 7 colors, including the background. To keep the skis looking vibrant,
That is a derpy
they
bulldog.
protect the paint with a coat of transparent varnish.
What are these logos and
I
brands?
don't even know.
And what about the boots of the
If
ski?
you have
There's
any
so much left
comments
to the
about the show,
imagination.
or if you'd like to
Yeah,
suggest
like the
topics
part
for
where the
future
boots
shows,
attach to the
drop us a line
skis.
at
Did they even screw anywhere for that, or is it literally just the piece of, like, the ski board, and you just have to drill your own holes for the boot?
Like, are you meant to tape your feet to the skis?